So, we want to talk about being prepared for that, being able to go down approximately 220 feet.
Yeah, I can do that for sure.
The hunt for Oak Island's treasure needed a hero, and for a while that hero was Vanessa Lucido. With her family's company, ROC Equipment, she brought the brawn and the brains to crack the island's biggest secrets. Fans saw a confident leader, but behind the scenes, a different story was unfolding. Her shocking departure from the CEO role in 2024 wasn't a quiet retirement. It was a move that sparked a firestorm of theories. You might think it's about business, but the trail leads to a place far more personal and puzzling than anyone imagined. The disappearance of a queen. On Oak Island, mystery is the main product, but in early 2024, a real-world puzzle emerged that had nothing to do with pirate chests or ancient maps. Vanessa Lucido, the high-profile CEO of ROC Equipment and a familiar face to millions of Curse of Oak Island fans, suddenly disappeared. It didn't happen in a flash of smoke or during a dangerous dig. It happened quietly on the About Us page of her company's website. One day, she was listed as the trailblazing leader who took her father's company to new heights. The next, her picture and title were gone, replaced by a man named Ed Robinson. There was no press release, no farewell email, no gold watch ceremony. She was simply erased. Why? For fans of the show, this was a massive shock. Vanessa wasn't just some contractor, she was a character in the saga.
What do you get?
Mud, a little bit of granite.
Granite.
Getting some pretty good granite slabs.
Maybe this was the plug that started pushing everything down.
From the moment she stepped onto the island in season 6, she commanded attention. She wasn't just there to drop off gear, she was on site, in the thick of it, overseeing the incredibly complex and dangerous caisson drilling operations in the Money Pit area. These weren't just any drills. We're talking about colossal 8-foot-wide steel casings being driven over 160 feet into the notoriously unstable ground of Oak Island. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and the entire multi-million-dollar operation could collapse into a watery, muddy grave. Vanessa was the one who calmly made the hard calls, translating the technical jargon for the Lagina brothers and, by extension, for the audience at home. Her story was already compelling. She inherited the company after the tragic passing of her father, Lulio Lucido, the company's founder. Instantly, she was thrust into a position of immense power and responsibility in an industry completely dominated by men. Right off the bat, whispers followed her. Was she just a Nepo baby, a figurehead living off her father's legacy? Or did she actually have the grit and knowledge to lead? Her performance on Oak Island seemed to answer that question. She was poised, articulate, and appeared to know every nut and bolt of her machinery. But truth be told, that perfect on-screen image only made her sudden vanishing act all the more confusing. The silence from both Vanessa and ROC Equipment was deafening. In today's world, a CEO of a company so publicly tied to a hit TV show doesn't just leave without a statement. The lack of information created a vacuum, and the internet rushed to fill it with theories. Reddit threads exploded.
And if we notice anything different, we'll stop and let you guys know.
And also the recognition that if you come down on top of anything different.
Was she forced out in a boardroom power play? Did she have a falling out with the show's production? Or maybe some speculated the pressure of running a massive company while being a reality TV personality just became too much. The numbers alone are staggering. A single one of those large-diameter drilling rigs can cost well over $1 million, with operational costs running into the tens of thousands per day. She wasn't just managing equipment, she was managing a fortune on an island that had swallowed fortunes for centuries.
Depositions across the width and breadth of the island, but it is not proof of that. The proof is in the ground, hopefully.
Her disappearance felt less like a resignation and more like a key character being written out of the script without explanation. This wasn't just about a change in leadership, it felt personal. Fans had grown to see her as part of the Oak Island family. Her presence brought a dose of modern, high-tech reality to a story steeped in old legends. She was the bridge between the dream of finding treasure and the hardcore industrial effort required to do it. And then she was gone. The company moved on, the show moved on, but the questions remained, hanging in the air like the salty fog over the island itself. The truth about what happened to Vanessa Lucido was clearly not going to be found in a company memo. It was buried deeper. But the clues weren't in what the company said, they were in what it did next, and the person they chose to replace her signaled a massive shift in direction that no one saw coming. More than a contract. To understand why Vanessa's exit was such a big deal, you have to look past the treasure maps and see the curse of Oak Island for what it truly is, a massive business enterprise. Let's be real, the show isn't just a documentary about two brothers chasing a dream. It's a top-rated cable television show that generates tens of millions of dollars in advertising revenue for the History Channel. That kind of money creates its own gravity, pulling in partners, sponsors, and contractors all looking for a piece of the action. This wasn't a simple handshake deal. When ROC Equipment rolled onto that island, they entered into a complex and lucrative business arrangement. The real treasure wasn't Templar gold, it was brand exposure to a weekly audience of over 3 million people. This is where Vanessa Lucido shined. She didn't just see a drilling contract, she saw a marketing masterstroke. Under her leadership, ROC Equipment didn't just become a supplier, they became a brand partner.
Concerning enough that I think we're doing the right thing, but it's not concerning enough that we're evacuating, everyone's moving out of here right this minute.
Think about it. How many times did the camera linger on the ROC logo emblazoned on the side of a massive piece of machinery? How many times was Vanessa herself featured in the war room, explaining the technical strategy and becoming a trusted voice of expertise? That kind of screen time is marketing gold, worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in traditional advertising. It was an incredibly savvy move. She turned a muddy, messy construction job into a primetime showcase for her company's capabilities. The equipment itself was a star. The 8-foot caissons, the massive oscillators that twisted the steel casings into the ground, the custom-made grappling tools, this was cutting-edge tech that most people would never see. The show gave ROC a platform to demonstrate on a global stage that they could handle the most challenging geological conditions imaginable. Oak Island is a driller's nightmare, a chaotic mix of clay, rock, old searcher tunnels, and water-filled voids. For over 200 years, it has defeated everyone who has tried to dig there. ROC, under Vanessa's guidance, was presented as the company that could finally tame the beast. Every foot they drilled, every core sample they pulled up was a victory for the ROC brand. But this kind of high-stakes partnership comes with immense pressure. The production schedule of a television show is relentless. Delays cost money, a lot of money. If a piece of equipment broke down or the drilling hit a snag, it wasn't just a construction problem, it was a television production problem. The entire crew, from the stars to the camera operators, would be waiting. Vanessa was the one in the hot seat responsible for keeping the multi-million-dollar show on the road. She had to manage the expectations of the Laginas, the demands of the TV producers, and the morale of her own crew, all while the cameras were rolling. That's a level of stress few executives ever have to face. This business-first reality also cast her departure in a new light. In the world of corporate partnerships and television production, relationships can be fickle. Contracts are reviewed, terms are renegotiated, and sometimes partners go their separate ways. Was the relationship between ROC and the show no longer as beneficial? Did the cost of the operation start to outweigh the marketing benefit? Or perhaps, as the search dragged on year after year with no treasure chest in sight, a change was needed to inject new energy or a new narrative into the show. These are the kinds of cold, hard business decisions made in boardrooms far away from the mud and mystery of the island. Vanessa's public persona was one of cool confidence, but behind the scenes she was navigating a high-wire act where business, television, and treasure hunting all collided. Her story proves that on Oak Island, not all the drama happens underground. The moves being made in the corporate world were just as critical as the drills turning in the money pit. And as it turns out, Vanessa was playing an even deeper game than anyone realized.
The dig is at 95 feet.
Right on.
So about 3 feet away from that target area.
The first of many.
Yeah.
Forged in steel, not silver spoons. The easiest narrative to believe about Vanessa Lucido was that she was just lucky, born into a successful family and handed the keys to the kingdom. But that's a lazy take, and frankly, it's just not true. The truth about Vanessa is that she was practically born on a drill site. Her father, Vanessa Lucido, wasn't just a businessman, he was an innovator, a legend in the foundation drilling industry. He built ROC equipment from the ground up, not with spreadsheets, but with his own two hands, welding and designing machines that solved problems no one else could. Vanessa grew up breathing diesel fumes and learning the language of hydraulics. She didn't learn the business in a classroom, she learned it in the dirt, watching her father build an empire bolt by bolt. When Lulio passed away, he didn't just leave her a company, he left her a legacy and a massive weight of expectation. She was a young woman, suddenly in charge of a fleet of heavy machinery and a crew of seasoned, old-school drillers who had likely never taken orders from a woman before. Most people would have crumbled under that pressure or sold the company and walked away. Vanessa did the opposite. She stepped up, took the controls, and didn't just keep the company running, she made it better. She had the impossible task of earning the respect of her own employees while proving to the entire industry that she was more than just her father's daughter. She did this by being smarter and tougher than everyone else. She understood the technology because she grew up with it, but she also brought a modern vision to the company. She pushed for innovation, embraced new technologies, and understood the power of marketing in a way the old guard never did. Getting the Oak Island gig was a perfect example of this. It wasn't just a job, it was a strategic move to put ROC on the map. She knew that in the 21st century, being the best wasn't enough. You had to show people you were the best. Let's also get one thing straight. Being a woman in the heavy construction and drilling industry is incredibly difficult. It's a world that is, even today, overwhelmingly male. You have to work twice as hard to get half the credit. Yet there she was, on national television, directing crews, making critical decisions, and never once looking out of her depth. Of course, this led to another more uncomfortable type of attention. While many fans admired her expertise, a vocal minority focused almost exclusively on her appearance. Online forums were filled with comments that had nothing to do with her professional skills, reducing her role to that of a distraction. It was a frustrating and unfair double standard that her male counterparts never had to deal with.
So we'll watch what the grab's bringing up and what that material is.
Yeah, that's going to be an imperative, right?
Yeah.
She was there to oversee a complex engineering project, and some people were treating it like a beauty pageant. Despite all this, she left an undeniable mark. She proved that a woman could lead in one of the toughest industries out there. She took her family's legacy and amplified it, turning ROC equipment into a nationally recognized brand. She wasn't just a character on a TV show, she was a real-life executive, a hands-on boss, and a trailblazer. She was the one who signed the contracts, who approved the engineering plans, and who ultimately carried the responsibility for every inch that drill bit moved. So when people ask if she earned her spot, the answer is a resounding yes. She earned it in mud, steel, and boardroom battles. The person who inherited the company was a force of nature. But what happens when that force decides to change direction? The answer reveals the real game being played all along. The checkmate you didn't see coming.
Are we just starting to grab? What's going
We've
on?
been grabbing for about an hour.
Okay.
We got 1.5 feet. We're dancing around 195 again.
You see this sharp, powerful woman running the whole show one season, and the next, she's gone, replaced by some guy in a suit. You're left scratching your head, right? It feels like we missed a key scene. Did all this happen overnight? Did she just get tired of it all and walk away from the empire her family built? Truth be told, it's not that simple. The thing is, what looks like a disappearance might actually be the smartest power move of her career. After her name was removed as CEO, she didn't just vanish into thin air. She took on a new, much quieter role at ROC, head of industry relations. Now on the surface, that sounds like a major step down. It sounds corporate, vague, and, let's be honest, a little boring. It's the kind of title you give someone on their way out. But what if it's the exact opposite? What if that role is where the real power lies, away from the cameras and the daily grind? Being CEO means being bogged down in day-to-day operations, payroll, and endless meetings. Head of Industry Relations, on the other hand, is about building alliances, negotiating the big picture deals, and being the face of the company at the highest levels, all without having to worry about whether a generator on a remote island has enough fuel. So was Vanessa Lucido a casualty of the Oak Island curse, or did she pull off the ultimate corporate checkmate? Let us know your theories in the comments. And for more deep dives, don't forget to like and subscribe.